Hello, this is Tim Law with Playing It Forward Coaching, always encouraging your self-reliance. If you will develop a marketable skill, chase that skill with a good solid work ethic, develop some people and communication skills, go the extra mile, you will be amazed at what you can accomplish as far as your life and career are concerned here in this country. A big thank you to 475 people that have subscribed to this channel, Playing It Forward Coaching. If you haven't already, please do so. I am delighted to have somebody I know quite well on this interview, somebody that we've been hit and miss a little bit trying to get her on. Very appropriate for the final day of 2021. And my beautiful and wonderful daughter, Shannon Law Grainger, who is involved with a business called Big Impact. And she's going to tell us about her story. And so welcome, Shannon. This is great.
Well, thank you, Dad. Thanks for having me on your show, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, that was very kind of you, Shannon. Yes. So tell us a little bit about your story and background. Obviously, I know it very well, and you know it well, but let's share it. Getting a lot of people that have been checking this out. Actually, over 21,000 total views now, which I'm quite proud of, because you know what, I am a Neanderthal as far as high tech is concerned, and you've helped me a lot. So go ahead, tell us your story, Shan, please.
Awesome. Well, I mean, my dad was really a pivotal, in any person's life, usually your father is a pivotal person in your life. But in my life, Dad, you were instrumental in my upbringing and my background. I started playing tennis when I was 4, and my dad was my tennis coach. And everything that he teaches in Playing It Forward in his book and, here on this channel and everything, I don't know if I was his first guinea pig, but I was definitely one of them. He had a lot of success stories before me, but I remember as a kid, he would take all-star athletes down to New York City and walk on fire with Tony Robbins. And, he was having me read goal cards at age 8 and visualization and neuro-linguistic programming and all of these tools that are much more people are familiar with now. But in the 80s, very few people were using these tools. So, my dad studied with mentors and teachers like Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins and Wayne Dyer and I don't know, the list goes on, all the grandfathers of personal development, right? And so that mindset and that personal development foundation that was laid in my subconscious mind at a very young age really has been the foundation for my success later in life. And so I want to thank you, Dad, for everything that you instilled in me at a really young age. It's been amazing.
Well, I appreciate that more than you realize, Shan. Thank you. And what's interesting is that again, using Dr. Wayne Dyer, who has since passed away a few years ago, as an example, as far as his summary of things, he says with your children, you want them to have wings and roots. And I think that both you and your brother David have those wings and roots where, as tough as it is for a parent to, watch their child go off in the world or whatever, you really want them to do so. And then roots that they're still, connected back with family and everything like that. So I would say that that's something that, you've done extremely well. So tell us a little bit about, let's go a little bit into your tennis background, because I really try to encourage self-reliance. We both, worked, hard on your skills and everything like that. But we also, it was a type of thing where we were able to, and I'm really emphasizing with my guys and girls that I coach now, is this thing called grit, which we call greater results with intense training. And so the idea that with some of these things where you push that quit point out, what is it like to have been, be able to push that quit point out where you just can, go beyond, above and beyond other people, in a number of ways? What's that like for you?
Well, it's funny, I'm laughing because when you say grit, I'm remembering our mental toughness days.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And trust me, as a kid, I did not look forward to these days at all. It was usually once a week, and basically it would be like suicide drills and sprints until I was just like a puddle of muddle on the court and totally exhausted. That's what mental toughness days meant.
Well, I'm glad you were feeling the love, Shan. That was good.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started playing. So I started playing tennis when I was 4, the summer before I turned 5, and my first competitive tournament was at 8. And so from starting at 8 until eventually I ended up getting a scholarship to college for tennis. And throughout that whole time, tennis is one of those sports that's so much inner game. It really is like the mental toughness and the inner game, and your mindset really dictates, if you're going to win or lose. And I think one of the best lessons that you taught me, Dad, that I use all the time is it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It just matters that you did your best.
Yes.
Right. And so, like, especially with a parent and a child relationship, with the parent being the coach, there can be a lot of like crazy parent coaches, and you really weren't one of them. You had a high standard for me, and it was about do your best. And I remember there was a time, there was some tournament that we drove to in New Jersey, and I didn't do my best. I was tired. I didn't show up. And you would be more upset with me on those days, even if I won. I think I even won that game, and I'm like, yay, I won. And you were so pissed because I didn't do my best, and that was really a big takeaway for me, is it doesn't matter if you win or lose. What matters is you do your best. And I think that mindset and that attitude really fosters a person to have that grit within them. And I have that drive within me, where somebody else can say, wow, that's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, it was good, but I know I didn't do my best, right? And I'm like, I can do better. And it can also end up being a little bit of a double-edged sword, because then you're always sort of like going to the next level within your own self. But ultimately, it's really served me really well, because let's face it, life isn't always rainbows and butterflies. It's not always easy. And to have that internal grit and that mental fortitude, that mental toughness within you, sometimes you got to dig deep and, get the job done, or go that extra mile, or just go a little bit further to do your best. So those are some of my big takeaways when you talk about grit.
Sure. Well said, Shan. One of the things that I really try to emphasize too, as far as the two main ways that we really feel good about ourselves, is in our own personal accomplishments. It's not about a participation trophy, because deep down, everybody gets a trophy, this or that. You didn't really earn it, but when you dig down deep and you accomplish something, and then you combine that with, good people skills, getting along well with others. I mean, life is really, really good if you can create as many of those moments as you can. And like you said, as far as doing your best, I totally agree. But it's also the will to prepare to do your best, or the will to win while you're preparing is just so very, very important. You can have the greatest desire when you step out on the athletic field, or on a play practice or something like that, an actual play. But if you haven't put the preparation in ahead of time, where it's dark and it's just kind of you and whatever you're working with, your coach or whatever, it does make a big difference as far as how well you're able to show up when the house lights actually come on.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, Shan, about you and your wonderful husband, Mark Grainger, from Alaska, Homer, Alaska. Okay. And where the deer and the caribou and the buffaloes roam, I think, up there. So, anyway, tell us about a Big Impact Live, and give us a little bit about this awesome business that you two have created.
Yeah. So fast forward, we were talking about tennis and growing up, and my dad being my coach, and all of these lessons that I learned along the way not only served me really well, but it translates into business really well, and entrepreneurship. So, I also learned that from you, Dad. You always have had this entrepreneurial spirit. I was the kid that, had yard sales and lemonade stands, and I was the top cookie seller in Girl Scouts and brownies, and
I ate a lot of those cookies, Shan.
Yes, yeah. I had a jewelry business at 11, and with the Girl Scout cookies, it's interesting because we grew up in the country, and I literally counted the houses in our small little neighborhood that had like one flashing yellow light, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get to my goal with the number of houses that's in my neighborhood, and so I enrolled my two parents. They're as teachers. I'm like, you need to take the order form into the teachers association and into the teachers room, and you need to sell these cookies for me.
Yep, the things we do for
Yes.
love, honey.
Yeah, so at 9 I was recruiting a sales team.
Yeah, you did well. So
Yeah,
tell us about Big Impact. Give us the
yes,
ideas.
I'm getting to that. So all
Okay.
of that really laid down the foundation for business and for entrepreneurship. So what I do now with my husband Mark, we have a company called Big Impact HQ, and we work with women experts and leaders and speakers, and we help them to speak, lead, and scale their business. So whether they're just starting out and they haven't quite cracked 6 figures yet, you're an expert in what you do, you need help with the systems and the structure and how to monetize your message, or you're even further along and you have a team and you need help with leadership and systems and structure within like an internal system, or you're in a place where you're ready to scale your business. We take women from just starting out all the way to helping them create multiple 7 figures and reaching people all over the world with their expertise and their message. And we get to do it together. It's super fun. Our community is amazing. And now we live in Austin, Texas. We love Austin. It's amazing. It's a really great kind of soul family vibe here. And yeah, we love it.
Yeah, and let me ask you this, Shannon, we're getting close to the end here. Who would be like, let's say, an ideal client? Let's say, because again, we have a lot of viewers, obviously a lot of the same people, which I do appreciate, but let's just say that, male, female, whatever, wanted to, speak to you about Big Impact. What would be your profile of what would be kind of like an ideal client, so people can understand, hey, this is great for me, or, well, no, I'm not quite ready to do, something like that. Give us that information, please.
Yeah, an ideal fit is a woman expert. So maybe a financial planner, a health coach, a nutritionist, a physical therapist, a doctor, a dentist, right? A lawyer. Like, you are an expert in your field. You might be a subject matter expert, or you just rock at what you do. And either you're speaking already or you want to be speaking. You kind of have a knack for public speaking.
Mhm.
All this like digital marketing and creating tons of funnels and technology, it's not really your jam. But get you on stage in front of a room of your ideal audience, and you just light up. So we add to your natural talent of being a good speaker, and we create you into a world-class speaker where you're landing TED Talks and you're launching your books, and that kind of expertise that you already have, and we help you supercharge it.
Mhm. Oh, that sounds great. That sounds fantastic. Well, Shannon, this has been awesome. Any advice that you would give? I always like to do this for teens, young adults, going forward. Given some of the experience that you've had, the advice you would give to a younger group coming up.
Well, it's not, I'm sure it's not easy, being a teenager these days. It wasn't easy when I was growing up, and now you have social media and all these distractions and, video games, and it's a lot. And even as I'm talking, I feel like I'm starting to sound like an old fogey.
You're a young fogey, Shannon. Yeah.
But the advice that I have is to know your values, like know what's important to you,
Mhm.
and stick to that. And those values might be different than your parents or whatever, but really get to know yourself. Do the personal development to get to know yourself and what's important to you, and then align who you're hanging out with around those values.
Mhm.
Align what you choose to do around those values. When you have alignment, then there's just flow in your
Mhm.
life. And oftentimes, especially if you're, maybe you're spinning your wheels of like, I'm not sure what I want to do when I grow up. I mean, we work with adults that still are struggling with that. So it's not just a teenage thing. But one of the questions we always ask our clients is, what did you do as a kid when time and money didn't matter?
Mhm. Yeah,
Right?
great
When you're,
question.
especially if you're kind of feeling a little lost and confused, what did you do when time and money didn't matter? And get back to your innate gifts and your passion of who you have always been. And then if you can figure out how to make money and how to monetize that gift and that passion, that's the golden ticket.
Mhm. Yeah, very well said, Shan. Very well said. Well, I appreciate this very much. Can you hang for a minute or two when we're done
Yeah,
here?
yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Okay. I
Totally.
would be remiss if I didn't sign us off this way, Shan. Okay, as you and I always do. And so we'll do it one more time here. So I always like to say, love you, Shan.
And then, I say, I love you too, Dad.
Yes. And I say, I love you more.
And then I'm like, okay.
Very good. Very good. All
Let
right.
me give a little backstory to that. I think it started with like, love you, Dad, love you too, love you more, okay, love you too. And then it was like this back and forth tennis match. So then finally I'm just like, okay, you love me more. All right. And then now this has just become like our ongoing little inside joke.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Very good. Well, this has been great, Shan. So hang out for a minute or so. Please give my man Mark my very best there and everything. Couldn't ask for a better son-in-law than him, that's for sure. So,
Totally. Will do.
okay. Thanks, sweetheart.
Yep. Bye bye.